Welcome back to Marbella Now. My name is Nicole King, and this week it's Valentine's week. So what could be more loving than having our program once again here at the pharmacy? We're in the Centro Comercial, the shopping center El Capricho. It's a great place to come, and it's a great place to just hang out. Very relaxing, very warm, very loving. Perfect whether you have a Valentine or you don't. Welcome to another day in paradise and another week of Marbella Now. We are behind the shopping centre El Capricho, and this is a pet park, a little dog park where you can come with your dog, and Marbella is very pet friendly, and that's why we thought it's very worthy to come back to the pharmacy, because not only is it pet friendly where you can go with your dog, it's also one of the very few vegan cafes in Marbella. It's a yoga studio, it's a hangout lounge, and a perfect place for Marbella Now.
Let the feeling into your soul.
If at first you don't succeed, try again. But this time, it's not actually thanks to my insistence. It's thanks to CIT Marbella that I finally get to meet Mariola, who is the brain waves behind the fabulous food room that's in the Guadalmina area, in that shopping centre that's been there toda la vida, since time immemorial. But the food room is relatively new. A year? How long have you been open, Mariola?
We will be making a year at the end of March.
I knew it was coming up, because congratulations.
Thank you so much.
It's I've contacted Mariola several times to see if we could get it together, but setting up a new business takes everything.
Yes.
So I imagine it's been a non-stop progress so far.
It's like having a baby.
Well, congratulations on your new child.
Thank you, I have to. Yeah,
I'm sure both equally as challenging.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, but it's very exciting because it's a new business, and it's also very rewarding because it's fun and it's about cooking, which I love, so it's great.
Where are you from yourself, Mariola?
I was born in Vitoria, in the Basque Country, but I have lived on the Costa del Sol for the last 10 years.
I actually did my Spanish exchange when I was a child at school in Vitoria.
Oh,
and wow. Yes, in the owners of the Lladró store in the square, in the plaza there.
Okay.
And it was, I just loved it because the festivals and
the
ferias,
festival,
when you come from England and suddenly you're out at 2 o'clock in the morning in the streets dancing and singing, it really is a wonderful education.
Yeah. You know, Spain is it's welcoming and it's fun. So yeah.
So, your love for food started when? Because you liked eating. I mean, how did you get involved actually with culinary delights?
I like eating more than cooking myself. That's why I entered this career. Actually, I started in hotel business, and I've always worked in the F&B department.
F&B is food and beverage. We use these initials in our professions without thinking everyone knows, and no one dares ask.
That's true.
But I don't know what that is. Well, F&B is food and beverage.
Food and beverage. I've been working in restaurants and in hotels. And then for the last years, I worked in a hotel school. So training and cooking came together in my life, and I thought it was a good idea because cooking is very up now, and this is why I opened the food room.
One of the things I love when I've been looking at your website and from the things I've heard and the wonderful feedback and comments that people give about your courses is that it really is a reflection of our 137 nationalities, in the sense that you cover all the different tastes, nationalities, from basic breads all the way through.
Yeah.
You must have a great team of specialists to be able to cover such a vast offer.
Yeah, this is one of the best things in Food Room, is that we work with a lot of chefs. and each one has his or her own specialty. So it's true that we have classes for everything. We have Japanese, Thai, Hindu, Mexican, Peruvian, Spanish, of course. We have everything, and also it's very funny because we have open groups every week for cooking classes, and when you see everyone there, you see Marbella. Because, for example, last Friday we had someone from Iran, someone from England, someone from Belgium, someone from Marbella. So this is Marbella, people from all around the world.
So not only you get to learn how to cook international cuisine, but you get to do so in an international atmosphere.
Yeah.
I have to say that I came here on Sunday for the Iranian special Sunday lunch at the pharmacy. Not vegan, but there is that vegan option within the things that they offer. And the food is delicious, as we will be seeing as we go through the program this week. You'll be getting an insight to Iranian cuisine. Your passion, does that mean that you're also there involved with the classes? Do you do the classes? Do you give classes? How is your direct daily involvement?
No, I actually, since I own the place, the business, I have to run it, and I have a lot of work organizing all the courses, private groups, private chef services. But I'm always there during the classes, and I also give the drinks. So I'm the good person because I give the wine and the beer.
You're the one everyone's happy with.
Yeah.
You're saying private chefs. Does that mean that you, if someone wants to give a dinner party, that you can organise that someone goes to cook at their house?
Exactly.
Well, that's
yes.
a nice idea
yes,
for here.
Yes, because we have different chefs, and they can go to your house and they can cook a nice dinner for you, for a small group or a big group. And
right, so it doesn't necessarily even have to be a party, just if you want a special meal at home for yourself.
Exactly.
Is that a very expensive thing to do? Is
Not
it way out of
really.
our budget, or not as much as we may think?
Not really. It's just like if you go to a restaurant, so it's not that expensive. But if you have a nice house and you want to entertain in your house,
Or even as a gift for someone, to come home and say, you don't have to cook tonight, darling.
Yes.
I've got a chef coming round. And then I suppose also your locale, the place that you have in Guadalmina, it's an ideal place to do a party. I mean, to get a different attitude or philosophy of a party isn't easy. Do something original, even for children.
Yes.
Is that possible to organise cooking parties and
course.
things like that?
Actually, we organize a lot of private parties and also birthday for kids. And parents love it because they are kind of tired of the same things always. And if they want to celebrate their birthday in our place, the kids cook their own meal. So it's a great fun. And also for adults, we do private workshops, and it's a different way to celebrate or to go out with friends.
Well, it's funny because you were saying that, because I was thinking with these private workshops for people who need to be on specialised diets for whatever reason, obviously that would be a great way maybe to contact you, find out the different things, learn how to cook those things that you
Right.
need to eat, because
Yes.
it's finding that originality
Yes.
in the basic wholesome foods, I think, is in our best interest.
Yeah, actually, we are also making now planning different kind of workshops for people cannot eat gluten or lactose, or we also do some vegan workshops. So we have for everyone.
Absolutely fabulous. Yourself, when you're going out, where do you tend to go to? When you're going in Marbella, do you go to ever go into our touristy English areas?
Not
Not
much.
much. So these are some things we need to work on, because we don't integrate into the Spanish community in general enough, I believe. But I think there's a lot going on in Aguirre land as well that could be interesting.
Yeah, but I do mingle with the people from everywhere. But it's true that when it comes to food, I tend to go to more Spanish places that have been here for a long time. Maybe not so focused on tourists, but and I also love to go everywhere in Marbella where they serve good food. So.
And we're so lucky in that, because we do have such excellent
Yes.
cuisine, Spanish particularly, but also then all the additions of everything international. Plans for the food room for the upcoming months? Is there anything particular we should know about?
Well, we have lots of things coming. The nearest is that we have some school holidays at the end of February. And we have some cooking courses for kids. So if parents don't know what to do with their kids during that week, we have that course for kids. And we're going to make a lot of cooking courses in the next months and different kind of cooking experience, so you can check our webpage.
Exactly, you have to keep your eye on that web. What a wonderful way to entertain your child, to give them cooking lessons so they can learn to be responsible in the kitchen and they can make you dinner. Sounds like a perfect plan. Evolution in perfection. Mariola, I'm so happy to meet you at last. Thank you so much for coming to see us. So hopefully next time we can come and see you there. And that's not a threat. It's not a threat. It's a promise.
My pleasure.
Next time in the food room.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And as time flies by, you'll open up your eyes wide.
Hello, I'm Ria Litchell from Laude San Pedro. Last week's sign was keep fit together. One more time, keep fit together. This week's sign is power apps. One more time, power apps.
It's gonna go your way. Hey, hey, it's a brand new.
Yeah, I'm here in Marbella, but it says here I'm in La Canada.
If you haven't mastered the lingo, don't worry. Linear Director has a free GPS geolocator service that will come and find you.
Good afternoon, here we are again at the Pharmacy Restaurant, which is a wonderful vegan restaurant. And today I'd like to introduce Tara. Tara is a little girl, she's about 2.5 to 3 years old, and she came to us pregnant by accident, which happens when people do not sterilize their dogs. And as she is a Podenco, she's not a very favorite dog here in Spain. She represents a lot of Podencos that are in AAA at the moment. Tara was pregnant. Luckily it wasn't too far and we could abort, which might sound awful, but otherwise we would have another nest of 5-6 puppies, which we cannot use, and because we are over full, as you know. AAA is currently at the moment about 300 dogs and 200 cats. So she's totally healthy now and she's totally happy. As you see, a very quiet, peaceful dog, looking for a family where she can be and run around and play and be loved. As I said, she represents a lot of Podencos. Most of you might not know, but in Spain there is still a lot of hunting season. The hunting season has just finished, and what happens here, unfortunately, is that the hunters discard the dogs that they do not want anymore. When they're about 4 years old, a lot of them are not good anymore in hunting. So they will be either killed, they will be thrown out, they will unfortunately very often get their legs broken, so they're left out in the cold and die of hunger. The shelters are usually very full after the hunting seasons with the Podencos as well as the Calgos. Calgos are usually a lot up north in Spain and around Madrid. But we here in Andalusia are looking after a tremendous amount of Podencos. Everybody will tell you that they are the most sweetest dogs. They're very, very quiet, as you can see. Some of them are even a little bit shy because of their past, and they might not have been treated very well. They, unfortunately, the hunters don't treat their dogs very well. They just use them as items for the hunt, and when they're not sufficient, they can just go. And so please consider, if you want to adopt a dog, come to AAA, of course. We're located on the road to Ogen. We have a lot of Podencos, like little Tara. They are not very big, they're very beautiful, very quiet. They usually have very nice drawings as well, with white and beige, and they come in different colors. Very, very sweet dogs. Do not forget, we have a lot of other dogs as well. So if you do not want a Podenco, we do have a lot of other dogs, specifically big ones and older ones. And we always ask attention for the bigger and the older ones, because it's not very nice for them to be in our shelter. We do our best, but we're not a hotel. And they really need a nice home where they can spend their last few years, nice and quiet. They don't have to have big homes, they don't have to have a lot of exercise. So please consider also adopting a bit of an older dog when you yourself are maybe a little bit of age. They don't need much exercise. And that's it for this week. I hope you will have a look at our dogs on the website. It's easy to adopt them. Go to the website, look for the dogs that appeal to you, write down the name and the number, and come and visit us so you can meet the dogs in person and see if they click and if they will fit in your family, because that's very important. adopting a dog is for life. They usually live around 15 years old, and they should be with one family, if at all possible, until that date. Therefore, please come when you consider adopting. Look at the website, choose a nice dog, visit us, and I'd love to see you there. See you next week. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Hey, hey.
Welcome. I have here with me today Anouk Sleggers, who comes from Holland and is an artist. Now, Anouk, you tell me that you originally wanted to be a picture restorer rather than a painter of pictures.
Yeah, that was my plan after high school, but then the idea of my parents was there was not any possibility to make good money there and to not have a future. So I left that idea and left it for a long time. And so 5 years ago I started painting with a tutor in Malaga, Juan Bejar. And he taught me the basics of real painting, of old masters techniques. And after a few months, when we finished both one of his paintings, he inspired me to continue, and he inspired me a lot to be part of contests and continue painting. So I really left his studio promising I would continue, and to be honest, that's what I did.
Mm-hmm. Well, you obviously had a very good sense for colour, so if you had gone into restoration, in fact, in which, if you're any good, there is an awful lot of money. So your parents weren't quite right there, but never mind. I think you're doing very well indeed with your painting. I mean, when I first saw your work today, I was very surprised, and in fact, I rather wish that I still had a gallery in London. I think I would be very interested in showing your work. In fact, you brought one along here, which I'd like to show to our viewers, and I think it's a quite remarkable piece of work for somebody who has only been painting for 5 years. Lovely sense of colour, composition, and all in all, I know you didn't want me to show it because it hasn't got a frame, but I still think it was well worth showing.
Thank
you. And may you well continue to paint and doubtless improve. But you were telling me something about the Van Gogh Museum. What was all that about?
Yeah, on the advice of my tutor, I participated in the National Van Gogh contest in Holland. And out of 1,000 artists, I was chosen number 4.
Really?
And that gave me the chance to participate in an exhibition in the art museum where the Van Gogh paintings were.
Which is where?
In Breda.
Oh, Breda, right.
Yeah, it's in the south of Holland. And
nice little town.
Yeah, very nice. And so that gave me an enormous stimulus, a lot of attention nationally, and yeah, it opened up doors which were normally not so easy to open for me.
It's always a terribly difficult problem for an artist to actually get on the ladder. Basically because if you're going to work with a gallery and a dealer, he's got to put quite a lot of money up front to launch it, and unless he can see a return, he's not going to do that. And so it's a chicken and egg situation. You know, you don't get an exhibition unless you've got a reputation. You don't get a reputation unless you've got an exhibition.
So where do you start?
Catch 22 perfectly. But anyway, it certainly sounds as if you're on your way. Have you got any plans for any exhibitions down in this part of the world?
Yes, I work with a group of artists in Panorama Studio, 187.
Panorama Studio, where is that?
Yeah, it's in Marbella. It's opposite Funny Beach, where the big Coca-Cola can
yes, I know.
was, because it's no longer there.
It's not funny anymore, is it?
It's not funny anymore, but the opposite is really funny. It's a wonderful studio where we have a big patio, where we combine art with music. So we have classical music events, we have Spanish guitarists events, combined with exhibitions of the artists
and how often does this happen?
It happens when the weather is good, when we have access to good music, because most of the artists come from a manager which is getting big artists from New York, from London. They are willing to make their trials elsewhere, so they get used to traveling and performing. And we get them in, and that makes a wonderful combination. So people do not only get art, they get music, and sometimes we combine it even with food. So we have big art dinner, which we had last year, and it was a wonderful event.
Right,
Yeah.
like so many things down here, we never hear about it until it's all over. Publicity does not seem to...
Well, there was quite some publicity going out there. Art is not so easy down here. It's not so easy to find the right people. I go a lot to Holland for exhibition. It's a lot easier down there.
I think that's true. I mean, this part of the world has always been a bit of a cultural desert, though Malaga certainly isn't now.
No, it's
Malaga
booming.
is booming.
Yeah.
Even the King and Queen were at the Pompidou Centre a couple of weeks ago.
No, it's amazing what they did over the last years.
And the Cat Museum is a marvellous museum again.
Wonderful.
And so, when do you expect to be showing at your...
Well, we start planning something. It might be in March. So it will be on Facebook of the Panorama studio. It will of course be on my Facebook, and well, we will sending out emails to clients, to friends, to people who are interested in art. And another exhibition I'm preparing for is in Holland, which is the end of April.
Where would that be?
And that will be in an old school, and it will be participation with a group of artists where we combine sculptures, jewelry, art, paintings with music as well.
Now you were telling me, show us your eye.
Yeah,
You?
yeah, those I make as well. A friend of mine makes the surroundings. It looks like it's based on the old Victorian lovers' eyes, which were sent to each other as a token of love. Later on, they put in the eye a tear as a token of mourning. So someone passed away, and an artist made them as a commission.
You don't see these very often.
No, you don't see them, and the original ones are very hard to find. You find them only at Christie's, and you pay like $20,000
May I ask
each.
what you would charge for?
No, I charge $2 to $350, depending on.
That's a little less than 20,000.
It's a little less, but they look different. Then they were painted on ivory. I paint them on very fine linen or silk. There's a difference. And then they were surrounded by precious stones, and they were really, really beautiful pieces of art.
Yes,
Yeah.
unfortunately, painting on ivory now is not really an option, is it?
It's not an option, it's not allowed anymore. So,
No, which is a shame, because it's a lovely medium for holding the paint.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
The paint doesn't sink in and it sits there, and
yeah,
it gives a lovely glow to.
Yeah, it's beautiful, but that's no longer possible, unfortunately.
Well,
Yeah.
well, I wish you every success, and I'm sure
Thank you so
will
much.
achieve it. And thank you
Thank
very
you.
much indeed for coming along today and telling us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, thank you very much for having me.
It's been my pleasure.
Hey, hey.
Hello Marbella, and it's Amanda, Marbella Now's agony aunt, back to say hello to you again and to bring to you a problem that's been sent in to Marbella Now and to me. Now, this problem may seem quite pedestrian compared to some of the other problems which are very serious that we've been looking at in recent weeks, but actually it is more serious, and more complex than we might immediately think. Mrs. A contacted me, and she has a problem with her cleaner. And yes, we all go, oh, we've all had problems with workmen, with cleaners, with etc., window cleaners, but this is different. Mrs. A has had her current cleaner for approximately 9 years. She's moved with her to 2 different addresses. She's been with her all the time. Mrs. A pays her very well. The cleaner was sick for some number of weeks and Mrs. A kept paying her, which I personally think is a morally right thing to do, and I'm sure you'll agree with me. But the unfortunate thing is this. Mrs. A's cleaner has a habit of breaking things and not mentioning. Not saying, I'm really sorry, I've broken this, I've broken that. And it came to a head 2 weeks ago when not only was a vase broken, but a very small, very precious ornament that wasn't worth a huge amount of money, but had belonged to Mrs. A's mother. And the cleaner didn't mention it, and so Mrs. A is in a quandary. Does she bring up the situation with her cleaner? Does she talk to her? The cleaner in every other way is great. You could leave a €500 note and know it's totally safe. The cleaner has Mrs. A's keys, she has her alarm code, so there is a trust there, despite the fact that Mrs. A speaks as much Spanish as her cleaner speaks English, so their communication is actually quite small, and it would be a very, very difficult situation to talk about in this mixture of languages without any real communication going on. Now, it's also a situation where you can't really involve another person to translate. It's very personal. For all we know, the cleaning lady is breaking things and is desperately embarrassed and doesn't mention it. But this is getting more and more and more frequent. And Mrs. A is wondering if it's a question of familiarity breeds contempt. There is a saying that you should change the people that work for you every sort of 5 or 6 years in order to keep that freshness going and that need to please going between both of you. Because there's an equal responsibility from Mrs. A to her cleaner as there is from the cleaner to Mrs. A. Now, it might sound that this is just a silly problem. Oh, tell the woman, please stop breaking things, which isn't actually possible. We think she's sort of basically very, very clumsy. But the fact that the breakages have increased and gone from, say, 1 every 3 weeks, 1 every month, to now virtually every week. And the fact that the cleaner doesn't say, I'm very sorry, Mrs. A, but I've broken this or I've broken that, not knowing whether it's valuable or it has sentimental value. Now, this also brings up another point in that Mrs. A feels embarrassed about confronting her cleaner. And I think a lot of us that are in the fortunate position to have people work for us in this way do feel slightly uncomfortable, especially if we've been in that situation ourselves. Mrs. A says her mother was what British would have called a char lady for many years when she was a child, and she herself in her younger years worked as a cleaner and didn't have many good experiences. So we know the cleaning lady is not doing the best job in the world. She's getting paid quite a high rate, she's looked after. But the same point comes out, why does Mrs. A feel uncomfortable about confronting her? She's not physically frightened, she's not frightened that the cleaning lady is going to be untrustworthy or anything like that. But there's something inside her that finds a confrontation, which is perfectly reasonable, the confrontation that is, very, very difficult to handle. Now, this comes back to other things I've spoken about in lots of other situations with other problems, about confronting things in a non-confrontational or non-aggressive manner. And it is something we need to do. I advise Mrs. A, speak to your cleaning lady, even if you have to do it in pidgin, English, Spanish, get some communication going, find out, is this being done accidentally on purpose? Is the cleaning lady angry with Mrs. A for some reason? But Mrs. A needs to find it in herself to say, look, please, this is enough. this was special to me and you've broken it. And the fact that she's let it go on so long doesn't help either. But she really needs to get the situation sorted out. So again, confrontation without aggression, sit and talk, and then maybe it's time for them to part ways, and hopefully in a very amicable way. So what do you think, Marbella? What would you do in this situation? What would you want your cleaning lady to do in this situation? Hopefully not break things, but you can understand that this is actually about something much deeper than just a broken vase. This is about a relationship, a working relationship that's got out of balance. And confrontation is needed, and I've told Mrs. A to be brave and actually face up to this. And face up, she doesn't have to feel guilty that she's got a cleaning lady. She pays well, she's earned the right to have that, and she needs to confront the situation and get it sorted out. Tell us what you think, Marbella. Contact Marbella Now or me at Silk and Sin and tell us what you think. We love to hear your, well, not your problems, we're very sad about your problems, but we love to hear your stories and your responses to our problems. So thank you very much, and from me again now, it's goodbye, and Nicole will be back to entertain you some more very, very shortly. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
I've been living in Marbella full-time since 1980, although afterwards I went to Madrid for a long stint. But when I did move here in 1980, it was a very different Marbella, very Spanish, and the foreigners were very few and far between. Not long after 1982, I believe, this gentleman here, Andrew, was one of the founding members of Marbella Business International. And today, Andrew's joined us with Angela to talk a little bit about this group that has been going for 30 years. And that is an achievement itself. Congratulations, Andrew, and welcome both of you to the programme.
But it's not to my credit, it's to everybody else's credit. Because when we founded the MBI, as we call it, there was no other professional association for business people. And a group of us got together. Most of these people are still around, but they're in their dotage. I don't think anybody's died yet, have they? They're still
touch
around.
wood.
Touch wood.
Well, with Bernard.
And no, but he wasn't one of the first
not
people.
The original
no.
people. No.
So the idea behind this, at that time, as I say, there was very few foreigners here. Those who came, I suppose, starting those first businesses, it must have been very difficult, particularly with the administrative side and this, not so much now, in fact, really not at all, but this manana philosophy of, okay, it'll get done, it'll get done.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that, because when we drew up the statutes of the association, one of them was to help foreign business people set up in business and to get over all the administrative hurdles, which then were pretty, well, they're multiple. We've left that behind now because people can obviously get on a lot easier now when they're founding their businesses. But that was one of the statutes. And that was the reason, because there was no other organisation. There was no Chamber of Commerce or outside Malaga. So, and we did a lot of that. That was successful, I must say.
Really, obviously, on your own. Angela, how long have you been involved with Marbella Business International?
I was trying to work it out this morning because I knew you were going to ask me that. I think it's 28 years. I remember it was a male-only group. Let's call it a group. We are not a club. And it was gentlemen only. Absolutely no ladies allowed. They didn't want ladies. And I can remember Andrew asking me, could they have lunch? I was, at the time, the administrator of a business centre in Elveria, a serviced office centre, and I had a restaurant and a well-care and goodness knows what. And they asked, could they have lunch, and would I be the speaker and talk about serviced office centres? And I said, I'd be delighted. And Andrew said, there's just one thing, young lady, I'm terribly sorry, but we can't accept ladies to join us for lunch. And therefore, you won't be able to join us, but we'd like you to speak. So I wasn't terribly impressed with that idea. So after my reaction, I was included. And sort of for a long time, I was actually the only lady. And now we have a super group of all business ladies. They have to be active in business to be involved. But the most funny thing was, having been sort of a lady and not particularly welcome to start with, which I understood. I don't know how many years ago now, but several years ago, the committee asked me would I like to join them. And so now I'm actually the treasurer.
It's it's interesting to see the progress, and very much reminiscent of those old golf clubs of the boys' club and the boys' business. And even looking through your website, there's a few little places that you can actually see the remnants of this philosophy, because they don't want any decorative ladies at their lunch. You're either business or don't come.
I don't know what the ladies are going to say about that.
Am I not decorative?
But you're a business lady. It wasn't purely decorative. So don't come to a lunch with someone who's purely decorative. I thought that was kind of interesting.
We do still say, and I actually agree with this, that husband and wives should not sit together. And if the wife isn't legitimately involved in her own business or another business, then they really shouldn't be invited. And it is by invitation.
See, we're finding out a lot by MBI. The MBI philosophy isn't a members, as you say, club as such.
No,
it's an invitation club, so you can be invited, but if you're not playing the game right,
Yeah.
if you're not of the same ethos as the rest, you can and will be uninvited.
Quite right. You sum it up in a phrase. Well done.
How do you make that criteria? And I'm just talking about business people, but what are you looking for most in the people that you want, I suppose, to meet and have lunch with?
Yeah, they have to be, it's, you cannot define it, but when you see the interaction between two people or three people, you can tell immediately whether they are the sort of person who would fit in or not. And obviously people who join for business purposes, as some do, join or ask to be invited for business purposes, and then they start networking and stuff like that. That's not welcome either, because the MBI is not a networking organisation in any shape or form. We just meet once a month. We used to meet once a week, but that was just too much. We now meet once a month for dinner, last Friday of the month, and it's a group of very, very nice people. We have a saying that after the cocktail, we have a cocktail for an hour at the bar, and after the cocktail, when you go in and sit down and have lunch, you would always sit next to somebody who you will get on with. It's not like some of these organisations where you go and sit down, or I don't want to sit next to him, or I don't want to be near them, or whatever. Everybody fits in, and that's people who don't fit in. I'm sorry, but they don't come.
Well, it's nice to see that it's actually an open association as such, that there isn't closed. Obviously, there's always new people coming and going. Angela, you have talks. You did a talk about your subject, but what kind of people do come to talk at these events?
Oh, we have a very, very varied group. But and it's not always so easy to find the decent speakers, to be honest. But we have had some amazing speeches that talks really, aren't they,
talks,
Andrew?
Yeah.
Very, very informative. Very often on aspects of shares, and I'm sure Andrew can actually elaborate on this. But we've had. It's basically non-advertising, so it's very difficult. We don't want somebody pushing their business, because we don't want it to be as if we're sort of trying to promote somebody to then ask for clients from us. It has to be more information-based.
I think some of the most interesting talks have been from people who've had some sort of interesting life. You know, they might have been a mountaineer or a long-distance canoer or something like that, and they come and talk about their experience.
Can I ask you, where has your life taken you, Andrew?
Well, I've given talks on practically everything to do with Spain, including the San Fermines, flamenco. I came to Spain in about 40 years ago.
A very different Spain than the one we have the pleasure of living in now. What do you most miss from the old Spain, and that attracted you in the first place?
I don't think I miss anything, really. I lived for 10 years in Cadiz province. I lived in Puerto Santa Maria before I came to Marbella. And I still remember when I used to come to Marbella as a visitor, you would drive into the centre of town and you would park outside what is now the pharmacy. And you know, there would still be space for another 20 or 30 cars. That's how much it's changed. But then everything changes. Marbella's got a lot better. It's got a lot more interesting people coming in. Then it was very cliquey. Everybody knew everybody, of course. When there was a new foreigner in town, if they were English, the English consulate would phone me up and say, "Hey, Andrew, do you know so-and-so?" in Marbella. 9 times out of 10 we would know them, would know who they were, but they stopped ringing me now because obviously you can't keep tracks on everybody.
I must say that Andrew actually has given several speeches on the old Marbella with backup of fabulous photographs. I mean, it's absolutely fascinating because you're trying to plan, well, that was there, and the wonderful photographs that you've collected
good,
of old Marbella as it was, and historically, way back even before you came. It very interesting when it was literally a little fishing village. It's quite fascinating to look back.
You came over, Angela, obviously a long time ago. You've been a member of the club for some 28 years. What was the attraction for you back then?
Well, it was actually February, which we're in now, 1983. So it's a long time, 35 years, if my maths is correct. And again, as
4 husbands later?
Not quite 4 husbands.
Sorry. You can cut that bit out.
No, I think the biggest changes are, I found it rather nice that it was more of a village life. And I liked the fact that you went to your little local store and they knew you, and you got things in a brown paper bag, and you couldn't buy avocados if they weren't in season. I loved that. I won't mention any names, but massive supermarkets and shopping malls. I find we've lost a little of the character. I still love to go to the little old fishing port in Marbella and eat in the tiny little restaurant in the Ventas. So I find the change a little bit disappointing, but then on the other hand, I love it as well because it's actually put us into the real world.
Yeah, the nice thing is that you can actually access both. Yes. You can still go to all the little stores, you can still go to all those little places, a lot of typical places, but there's just a lot more foreigners on the top.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, I live in the centre of town. I can walk everywhere I need to, even to restaurants within 100 metres. We have butcher shops, fishmongers. I never need to go to a big supermarket.
Do you both speak Spanish?
Yeah.
Well, Andrew is probably, totally fluent. I speak good Spanish, but...
yes, you speak very good Spanish.
I speak Spanish.
Yeah, that's the difference. Those of us who came before 94, we had no choice because no one spoke English and we were something special. We had a little bit of Spanish. Nowadays, it is much easier having the English that everybody speaks everywhere in all our facilities. But viva España and viva the old Marbella. I'd like to see yours at some time, your little explanation about how Marbella used to be in your photographs.
Okay, I think I have got it on a digital. In some digital
Perfect.
form.
So we will be hopefully seeing Andrew again with that presentation. And can people contact you if they would like to come and join your club, or at least not join but be part of it?
Well, we have a website which is, we used to be called, the MBI was...
Marbella Business
Institute.
Institute was a stupid
And a
name.
few years ago we decided that Institute really now just wasn't appropriate, and so and because we have such an international group, we decided to be MBI with the international, and that's our website. And on the website it's very simple, very, very plain, but it just explains.
And there are contact details on there, so they can go to the website and contact
Well,
us.
best of luck, because contacting doesn't guarantee you a place. They're very choosy about who's in, but then at least you know once you're in, you're in. Thank you so much, Andrew. And Andrew, it's lovely to meet you at last.
Thank you, Nicole.
Pleasure.
Andrew.
Pleasure.
Welcome. I was, for over 50 years, an art dealer in London. And so I thought what I'd like to do is every now and then give you one of our little cameos of the life of an art dealer in London. And one of the more memorable ones I had was we had 2 galleries, one in Bond Street and one in Bruton Street. It was a firm called Frost and Reed. And I was in the Bruton Street gallery this particular day, and this tall, dark gentleman came in, and Muhammad Ali was always fairly recognizable. And he said to me, I believe you've got a picture here of the gate of the mosque at Damascus. And I said, yes, indeed we do, sir. It's by an artist called Gustav Bauernfeind, who was a German painter, painted around 1860. He said, well, I'd like to see it. And so we got the picture out and hung it for him in the middle gallery. And He said, yeah, I really like this. And suddenly, he lay down on the floor and looked up at it. I thought, this is strange. And he said, well, at least, boy, you can say one thing that not many people can say. You've seen Muhammad on his back. We then took the picture up to his hotel in Lancaster Gate that afternoon, and I must say the cloud of Dhaka that hit us as we walked in through the door was just about enough to kill you. And all I do wish is I could say that he bought it, because the price that I quoted him was £8,500. The next time I saw the picture was at Christie's about 15 years ago, when it made 260,000, but I'm sorry to say he didn't buy it. Thank you.
Age is certainly a concern, and it's wonderful that now Age Concern Marbella and San Pedro is official. So very, very proud and grateful to Tom and his team for having been so insistent on seeing this through, to make sure that as we get older, there's also our needs are covered here in the Costa del Sol. I'm very, very honoured to welcome back Tom to the programme, President of Age Concern Marbella San Pedro, and Stephen, who is in charge of the volunteers and actually getting in contact with the people. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you for inviting us.
It's absolutely my pleasure. Let's start, Tom, with you. Congratulations on the official paperwork now being received.
Yeah.
That must be a big relief for you.
Oh, massive. It's taken since last May, when we first put our papers through for the statutes. We've just been approved, but we're now still waiting for our SIF-NIF number from Marbella, which we hope to get. Stephen reliably tells me today or tomorrow, and then we are ready to go. Everything's ready. We have everything in place, so we're ready to go.
It's wonderful to see that you have so much support. In fact, I know there are a few donations waiting for all the bank accounts and everything to be official, but you still need so much more support. Stephen, what are you looking for from our community to help with setting up Age Concern Marbella San Pedro?
The most important thing I would say is volunteers. We're a volunteer-based organisation. We're not a non-profit making organisation, and we're people-based. We're helping people, and we need more and more volunteers, not only to visit the homes, but also to visit, apart from visits, to help with the administration of running the organisation.
So there's obviously a lot to cover, because every time there is volunteers, I imagine that has a certain procedure that goes with it. It's not just show up and off you go.
Absolutely. Now, we have our own training course, which we've organised, a programme that will take us now, from now, I would think, till mid-March. We're hoping every week to spend an hour and a half with a team of maybe 5 or 6 volunteers, new volunteers, to do a training course. And that will take us, I think, 6 weeks. And then after that, we will probably have one training course a month.
Well, it's absolutely commendable, but it's not an easy task, Tom, that's in front of you, because I think one of the biggest things is people recognising that they are perhaps that person who needs the help.
That's a crucial point. The first thing we have to do is, I describe it as the best kept secret in the Marbella San Pedro. So our first major concern, through you and through the media and through everybody else, is identifying those people who need help, who need our services. So what we, through today and through the future, will be asking is, if somebody lives next door to you who you think is vulnerable, who needs help, call our helpline, which is on site. So our first task is, we have all the volunteers in place. We have a great team, really, really great team. We now need to identify more people who need the service that we provide. So that's our first task, is to identify the lonely, old, in need, in trouble of any form, to contact us, and then we start to roll, we start to move.
Stephen, when people are getting older and they become more vulnerable, how do you think people identify that they are the ones who maybe need that help? Because I think we all feel that we're so capable and we don't want to bother anyone, that that's for somebody else. How do we get this message across that you don't have to be on death's door before you call Age Concern?
I hope we've overcome that problem, because we're having once a month, on the first Thursday of every month, a gathering, what we call a coffee morning. And so people can come, they can bring their friends, volunteers come, neighbours come, and there we're inviting people to discuss various problems. And so if they want to openly or they want to discuss a problem privately, we're there as well for that.
What are the most common problems, Tom, that people face when they find themselves getting older and perhaps more alone?
They vary from simply loneliness, where the husband, wife, partner have died, to people where they've died and there's not much money. There's a problem there. There's a problem with lawyers, shopping, going to the doctor, any of those sort of problems. But back to your question you're asking of Stephen is, how do we identify the people who need our help? My appeal would be that if your next door neighbour looks like they are in trouble and need help of any form, then call the helpline. Because you're right, a lot of people are very independent. They don't wish to bother people. They don't wish to admit that they have a problem and are in trouble. So we need some kind of encouragement to bring those people forward.
And also, at any age, when you're facing illness or some kind of depression, it's those moments when you really can't see yourself. You have to rely on others.
Correct.
Because you can't often see that you're so confused, and it's also
That is correct.
traumatic
Yeah.
at any age. So really, there's nothing to feel embarrassed about asking for a bit of help. Stephen, now also penny dropping, we can go to gatherings to meet up with other people of our age, perhaps even play games together, talk to somebody. Where do you hold these Thursday coffee mornings?
I'm not sure if I'm allowed to give the publicity for
Yes, you are.
the Paddle Tennis Club in Nueva Alcántara,
Yes,
which
you
is a
can.
wonderful place, full of young people. And what better environment for an elderly person to be with lots of young people. It's open, we're out on the terrace there. And as I say, we have these coffee mornings the first Thursday of every month.
Well, it's great to see that there are so many different aspects to what's going on. I know one of the big problems, and this is something that we don't like to talk about, being ill and being in hospital, but visiting people in hospital is also something that's on the age concern list, I believe, Tom.
Every case is unique to itself in terms of what the need is. So the first thing we need to do with anyone is to identify what the need is, and then either supply that need or help them to find somebody else who can provide the help they need. So every case is very, very different, but it's self-evident, I think, if, as I say, if the person next door to you seems to be lonely and in trouble,
They probably are.
get in touch. They probably are.
They probably
yes.
are, and do
Yeah,
something about
so
it.
get
So we
in
need to
touch
be a little
and
bit
see if we
more
can help.
aware, back to this social conscience, that while we're
right.
doing our own thing,
And on that point, one of the important aims of Age Concern, and we inform all our volunteers, is we're there to also to help encourage, solve problems. Now, we personally may not be able to solve a problem, but we're in communication with all the statutory bodies and also other organisations. Quite recently, for example, we had a case, a very important case, where we had to go out of the area and we needed help from other organisations. For example, we needed it clothes. So Caritas in San Pedro Alcántara were kind enough to provide clothes to fit out a gentleman, and then we needed help with some finance, and we were able to get that assistance as well. But one of the important things I discovered just quite recently, there's a very important NGO in San Pedro called Fundatur, and they look after the somebody who loses their ability to govern themselves and their bank accounts and that sort of thing. Well, there's a facility now legally available, and this is important to know, that that person could be tutored by this organisation, and they're also based in San Pedro Alcántara, and it was started by a well-known lady called Remedios de Rio. You might know of, I'm sure.
Yes, I do, and it's wonderful to see, because it all is about #Better Together, just joining our forces and our intelligence and to make things happen. Tom, when we were talking in the first United Nationalities Summit that Age Concern was part of last April, you talked about mobility being a major problem for elderly people, whether it's getting about to go shopping, but also to go to doctor's appointments. Is the minibus still on the things that you're looking to address and get financing for?
Yes, we're looking for finance for all sorts of things, but yes, we would like eventually to have a minibus for the service you've just described, We haven't got it yet. We don't know what the need is. So we need to, again, we need to get the clients coming forward so we can assess the volume and the need, and then we will supply the transport to suit the need of whatever that is.
So it's very much a step-by-step project. It's growing as you grow and as people, the awareness grows.
Yeah. And on the basis of getting the bus, we need money to buy the bus. So that's, I don't make any apology for making an appeal for any wealthy people watching your lovely programme to come forward, and we'd be happy to give them bank account numbers and all that sort of detail.
And just €1 from each person would also go a long way.
However small. Yes.
I'd like to add something to that. Age concern in our area of San Pedro Marbella, we have 3 different groups. We have what we call the Friends group, and they're the people that meet up on a regular basis, a monthly basis, but we also have another group called Members, and they're very important because they're the people who might give us a sum of money each year, maybe 100 euros or maybe 1,000 euros a year. And I have a friend who's been doing this from her own trust fund for the last 20 years. She's been giving substantial amounts. The money she doesn't use, she gives to charity. So we call that group the Members group. And then, of course, we have the group of the administrative group, the group that we represent, running the organisation. But the volunteers group is very important. We need to expand on that. But also the Friends group, because they're the people who are bringing their neighbours and their friends into our sphere.
Well, it's absolutely so amazing to see how much is going on in our community. Each little pocket doing something so worthwhile. Tom, Stephen, I can't thank you enough for caring about us, because I say us, I'm so on that edge of getting into this bracket that we can't begin to imagine what awaits us, really.
Well, thank you for giving us the opportunity to expand on what we're trying to achieve. Thank you very much.
And one would imagine, I'm sure that you're both meant to be retired. It must be a lot of work, Stephen. How many hours do you think you put in this every day?
Well, at the moment, many, because we're starting up, of course. But I've been retired 6 years. And
you've never worked harder?
Exactly. But I enjoy now investing in other people and investing my time. That's rewarding.
Obviously, Tom, you seem to be very satisfied as well, and it's nice to see it's
I've
moving
retired
forward.
longer than that. Longer than Stephen.
That's why he looks so much more relaxed.
Exactly.
Stephen's still in there, he's in the rat race still, and Tommy's seen
Okay.
it all, been there, done that, worn the t-shirt.
Exactly.
Well, thank you very much. We will be seeing a lot more of Stephen and Tom, because we will be supporting the Age Concern Project every week here on Marbella Now, because there's so many of us, and every day more, who will be needing help. We want to make sure everything's in place. Thank you, guys.
Thank you indeed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Linear Director has a brand new exclusive service. It's called a GPS geolocator. This breakdown recovery and roadside assistance service can pinpoint your location immediately, wherever you are on mainland Spain or the Canary Islands. The GPS technology is simple, quick and safe to use from any smartphone with coverage at the breakdown point. There is no need for you to know your location. Even if you're lost, they will calculate the quickest route to you, and there is no extra cost for using this service. So if you break down, you just call Linear Director on their roadside assistance service, and they will send you an SMS to your smartphone. You just open the SMS, click on the link to go to the geolocator website. All you need to do is authorise Linear Director to locate your positioning using that GPS and satellite technology. Once authorised, they will pinpoint your location and send a breakdown vehicle to meet you. If you want more information on this GPS geolocator service or any of the other great services that Linear Director offer, why don't you call 952 14 78 34, that's 952 14 78 34, or visit their website, lineardirector.com. Salam, Chetori. No, we're not in Iran, we're in the pharmacy. Why? Because the lovely half-Iranian Roya wants to make sure that our Iranians have somewhere to go and have traditional food to make them feel as home as us Brits do with our eggs and bacon and fish and chips. Roya, what a great move to include your heritage and to cater to our Irani community.
Yes, we're in Marbella, which is international, and we've got loads of Iranians here. Marjan, our chef, she came here a couple months ago and she didn't know anybody, found us through the pharmacy and our posts that we do on our Sunday brunches, which you joined us, our Iranian Sunday brunch. and we've continued it on, and it's great. Every week we meet new Iranians that find us, and the word of mouth gets around, and we love having English people come and visit us, and Spanish, and everybody gets to try a different cuisine because there are no Iranian restaurants in town.
Well, you've really made a big hit with this first Iranian cuisine in Marbella, and I did come on Sunday with a Belgian friend, the lovely Vanessa van Camp, who not only has her real estate company, but she's the president of the Belgium Business and Community Club. And it was lovely because we were like flies on the wall, us foreigners, in this completely full restaurant full of Iranians, and the food was exquisite. Not all vegan, there was meat and chicken. It was a wonderful array like you've got on the table here. Marjan, if you want to start serving everyone for them to have a little try.
And traditional rice. It's our typical basmati rice, but we make the top crispy, and it's called tadik. And normally in a traditional Iranian home, everybody fights over the crispy bit of the rice, and everybody
Like
wants
the sakrat
that.
in the paella.
Yeah, exactly. This is our sakrat, and we love it. And so Marjan is serving now a dish which is eggplant stew, and it's khoresht bademjun, it's called. This is one of our favorite dishes for Iranians. It's served over rice, and it's our type of curry. Next to it, we've got, which you can dig in and try. This is called masto khiyar, which is a yogurt mixed with garlic or some kind of chives and cucumbers, mint, and rose petals. Over here, we've got a salad called a Shirazi salad. It comes from Shiraz, and it's chopped up tomatoes, onions, and cucumbers, again, mixed with mint.
Nice and fresh and healthy.
Yeah, very healthy. And these are very good vegan, vegetarian options. Next to us here, we have this amazing dish. It's called adas polo, and we've mixed it with berries and dates and raisins and some fried potatoes, which is a vegetarian or vegan hit as well. And we've got something which is a very traditional dish there called gourmet sabzi, which is based on greens, and that does contain meat in it, but you can go around and it's a topping for your rice again. And then our pied de resistance, which most Iranians love, we serve kebab, and today we've got a kebab on this side, which is all the way to the end, and you can try that with your rice as well. We do catering as well and food to go, so these are basically going to go on our website. Whichever you want catered or delivered for your party, we can do, and there's much more than this. This is just a basic variety.
Well, everyone from our show today has very willingly decided to stay because everybody wants to try the Iranian cuisine. Everyone has been delighted with the pharmacy. It's one of the best kept secrets in our Golden Mile, as is our jewel of the mile, Roya, who works so hard to make people feel welcome. You seem to be, it's amazing how people who come to Marbella and don't know anyone, how they seem to, everyone seems to hone in here. They feel the vibe.
Well, that's what I really wanted to do, is make it a place where everybody feels at home. And me being Iranian, one of the reasons that I even call this place was the pharmacy is because, as Marjan knows, our wonderful chef who's been doing all this great cooking, in Iran we have a lot of traditional food, and reasons why we eat things are for health benefit. Like, we've been taking chia seeds in water for hundreds of years. Chia seeds aren't anything new to Iranian health food, and certain foods are cold, certain foods are warm, and it's how they digest in your system. We've been doing something very similar to letting food be your medicine in Iran for years. It's just handed down from tradition to tradition. So for me, the whole idea of bringing Iranian food to pharmacy, I've always had the Iranian teas. We have different teas here that we use that are medicinal as well, that come from Iran. Our food, everything's very healthy and fresh, as you said.
And it's really nice to see, because when we hear about Iran, it's normally only on the news and never in a good context. To actually meet people that are as exactly like we are, they speak a different language, come from a different part of the world and eat different foods, but there's so much we can learn from each other, and I'm just so proud of you and so happy for you to do something so needed.
We're actually opening up a pharmacy in Tehran, so this same concept is going to be open in 2 weeks. I'm going to Tehran, and we're opening up this same concept in Tehran.
We're going to have to take the Marbella Now cameras to Tehran. What can I say? Who's in? Who's coming to Tehran? Well, we can't wait. Everyone is just dying to dig in. So, Roya, everyone go for it. You don't have to be quiet anymore. Get in, try it, and let's see if we can get a little bit of feedback. Bon appetit. How do you say bon appetit in Iranian?
Sanam Nusha Janet.
Nusha Janet. Nusha Janet. And from the pharmacy, Hodafiz, which is like, bye, see you soon. Bon appetit, everyone. Yummy, yummy. Oh my gosh.
Hello Marbella, it's Amanda here again from Silk and Sin for Marbella Now and Nicole King to help Marbella with their problems. Now today I'm not actually going to talk about a specific problem. I'm going to very briefly go into the feelings of conflict that arise in us when we have negativity and bad thoughts, darkness in our lives that we need to know how to cope with. Now, it's great when we all feel confident, and most of the time, most of us do, I think. But all of us at some time or another feel negative and need to work on that. Now, this can be for many, many reasons. It can be through loss of some sort, a relationship, breaking down, bereavement, lots and lots of reasons. And in those cases, we need to work through the negativity to get to a positive point in our lives and deal with those issues. But sometimes you can just feel negative for no reason. You can wake up and have a bad day. You can wake up and just not feel right. Things don't go quite as you want in your life, and it's very, very easy to start feeling down. And then once you do, it's a vicious circle, because the more down you feel, the less you do for yourself, and it goes round and round and round and down. But there are many tricks, actually, that we can use to get ourselves out of that circle and to make ourselves feel more positive. And one of the biggest things is getting involved in other people's lives and in the life of the community around you, which, as Nicole is always stressing on this program, is very, very important. We are a community, and we should behave like it, and we should make contact with each other and get closer to each other. And sometimes just being with other people in a different environment, just giving something to the world around you really, really helps. Now, we're filming here in the lovely pharmacy in Marbella on the Golden Mile, and they have a lovely pick your own quote for the day box. And I couldn't resist it, I picked two. And I'm going to read them out to you because I think they are about being positive rather than negative. And the first one is by Eleanor Roosevelt, and she says, "Remember, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent." And I think that's a very good thing to remember. No matter how much people come down on you, if you have enough self-belief and enough confidence, then you can work through that. You can get over that and say, no, I know what I'm worth, I know who I am, and I know my value in the world and to myself and to others. So that's one I quite liked. Another one is slightly longer, and it says, "Remember the past, but don't live in it. Plan for the future, but without investing your whole self in it. Keep all of your love for the present, because that's where life is." Now, that's a very, very interesting point, because we do need to live in the present day, and even if it is a negative day. And on another episode, I will show you some tricks to help deal with when you feel negative like that. But remember, be part of your community, talk to people, feel your negativity if you need to and work through it. But remember, the sun always rises, and the world is a wonderful place, and we live in a wonderful community. So that's just my brief message for today, and I'd like to thank Nicole and Marbella Now for giving me the opportunity to talk to you about something that's really so basic to how we live our lives. So thank you very much, and it's goodbye from me, Amanda from Silk and Sin, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon. Bye, Marbella.
Free taxi 4 times a month and 25% discount on your car insurance if you're the zero hero. Wearing a seatbelt is fundamental. Even braking suddenly at 7 kilometers an hour, your body will be thrust forward with the equivalent weight of 3 to 5 tons. That's like throwing yourself off headfirst of a 3-story building. We wouldn't want to do that. We wouldn't do that out of choice. Now, when you're pregnant, a lot of people choose not to wear the seatbelt because it's true that the lower belt can actually hurt your uterus or even damage the fetus. However, there is an adapter now available that is a cushion that goes on your car seat, and when you get in the car, what you do is you put your seatbelt on as you would normally. So you put your seatbelt on, and now you're sitting on your special seatbelt adapter, and then you take the part that's between the legs, which is the optimum position to put the belt so it's below your uterus, it's below the baby, and if any pressure is exerted in case of sudden braking, it will not hurt you or the baby. But it is fundamental that you wear a seatbelt, because if you don't, you're risking your lives, your baby's life, and that of anyone else who is with you in the car or around you if you go through that windscreen. It's fundamental. Seatbelt first, but when you wear it correctly. And in pregnancy, it's very important to position that belt below the bump so you're all safe.
The one on the left is the monkey who gets cucumber. The one on the right is the one who gets grapes. The one who gets cucumber, note that the first piece of cucumber is perfectly fine. The first piece she eats. Then she sees the other one getting grape, and you will see what happens. So she gives a rock to us, that's the task. And we give her a piece of cucumber, and she eats it. The other one needs to give a rock to us. And that's what she does. And she gets a grape. And she eats it. The other one sees that. She gives a rock to us now, gets again cucumber. She tests the rock now against the wall. She needs to give it to us. And she gets cucumber again. So this is basically the Wall Street protest that you see here.
Si no ubicas donde se encuentra The Pharmacy, está aquí en el centro comercial El Capricho, aquí en la entrada de Marbella. Todos somos bienvenidos, no importa la nacionalidad, así que ven, pasar, échale un vistazo a ver si os gusta. Just saying that everyone should come by and check out The Pharmacy. It's here in the shopping centre El Capricho, opposite the Senator Spa Hotel by the Copper Tower, the Piruli as they call it here in Marbella. Well, it's been a fabulous week with you all. I hope you enjoyed the programme, meeting our guests and finding out what's going on locally. Take care of yourselves, please. Be nice to each other, and we'll be back again next week. Bye for now.
And it's time